Hey YouTube, this is Matthew, and sorry I haven't done a video in like forever. I just been very busy, but I think I got a pretty good topic for you guys. Um, I started a blog a few weeks back and gotten pretty good reviews on it. Couple pluses, stuff like that. Nothing serious. Has about like 400 views, I think, right now in just a few weeks. So I think that's pretty impressive. And it's about how to, I guess, not say properly because there's no like fixed way, but how to pretty much upscale your favorite animes and cartoons. Um, Works with live action shows, I guess, but not as well as cartoons and anime. So, couple of disclaimers. One, the anime that I'm gonna be using as a tutorial guide, I guess, I legally bought it. I did not download it. I did not pirate it. And anyway, I legally bought it off of Walmart. I believe I still have the receipt in my wallet, but that's one disclaimer. Like, this is something I do as a hobby. I don't do it for any type of profit whatsoever. I don't sell it whatsoever. I just do it. One, my Blu-ray player upscales my DVDs, and they don't look as good. They don't look as sharp because of the upscaling. And for some odd reason, I can't find the settings to like turn it off. I got to keep on doing that. And two, honestly, I feel there are certain like animes and cartoons that never really got a good upscale that I think should. Prime examples, Bleach, as well as Sailor Moon. Viz Media did an official upscale, and they don't look right, in my personal opinion. Sailor Moons, they have gotten better, but I feel like they could have been a lot better than what they are. Same thing with Bleach. I feel like it could have been so much better, and I think they just like halved it just for an easy profit. So, these are my favorite shows. I love watching them. I love buying them. So I think they should deserve a proper upscale, and that's why I, just take my favorite episodes and stuff like that, and I just upscale it quickly, and watch it on my Blu-ray player, and I think they look great. So I just wanted to show you guys. Um, let's start off really quickly. First thing you want to do is obviously you want to rip your DVD, rip it to your computer. Whatever software you use, that's really up to you. It's just personal preference. But you want to make sure that when you're ripping it, you're ripping the full DVD. If the DVD is a DVD 9 disc, make sure you're not ripping it as a DVD 5. Make sure you're ripping it in its full DVD 9, or else you're going to be losing quality, and that's something you don't want to do. After that, there's so many different ways you could do this, but one of the ways we're gonna do this, at least for me, is we're gonna rip it because the software that we're using, which will be Adobe Premiere, it's very picky with their file formats, but they do support TS4 format. If I could figure out how to get the audio settings right for it to make it play in English, because if your DVDs have different audio settings, some scenes are English, some scenes are like in Spanish or whatever. So one of the ways I found around it is to use Handbrake to rip the DVD files into MP4 file. Now, using Handbrake, it's tricky, but if you guys, I believe, follow my settings, at least with anime, you guys should be pretty much okay. Right here, my anime, which is Vampire Knight, I'm going to be using tutorial, they did not separate the episodes. What they did is they just took the episodes, made it into one big file, and just made chapters for each episode. So I had to, literally watch it and figure out where the chapters end. So in the first episode, it ends in chapter 4, so chapters 1 through 4, and that's where we get the standard 24 minutes of the episode. Now, in terms of resolution, I pretty much left it as none. I changed it to none right here, and I did not change the resolution to 720 by 40. I kept it in its widescreen format, 720 by 406. That's one thing you guys want to do. You guys don't really want to change the resolution. you want to keep it at whatever resolution that DVD is going to play on, whether it's 4.3 aspect ratio or 16:9, which is widescreen. Aspect ratio, you don't really want to mess that. You want to do that in post, which is Adobe Premiere, so we're going to be doing upscale. So I kept it 720 by 406. Next off, filter. This is where people, deinterlace or decomp. That's the never-ending question. It really depends on your footage. So for this anime, it took me forever to figure this out. But the best way I got it was intersign default, decomp default, everything basically off. Moving on to videos. I don't use variable frame rate. I always use constant frame rate, same as source. So I keep that. Since we're dealing with anime, which is an animation, put in animation. If your guys are doing like a live action or a live action TV show or film, she was film, but since animation, put it for animation. The profile, we're gonna set it to high, and the quality. Since we're gonna be ripping it, it's gonna lose some quality, so you want to keep it. That's why I recommend, if you guys can figure it out for yourself, I recommend just using the actual DVD source that you guys ripped. Don't try to like rip it again to like MP4 or actually AVRs or whatever format you like using. Try to use the DVD source. But since for this one we're using an anime that's multiple audio, it's a little tricky, so I used Handbrake to rip it to MP4. But what I did is, where it says quality, normally this will be around 20. I lowered it down to 0, so it'll be looseless, so it'll be almost exactly as the original DVD. Not exact, but almost. Very, very good. The only downside is the file size is going to be at least close to 2 gigs, more or less, since this is a DVD, which is not bad if you guys have like a big hard drive, so it's not really a big deal. So wasn't a big deal, so I left it there. 2-pass encoding, turbo pass, I leave those off as default. Audio, since this is an anime, it's gonna have English and Japanese, but for easy sakes, so that way I don't have to use subtitles. I'm ripping it in English. The original DVD audio, I believe, was in 224. I just lowered it a bit to 192, so it'll lose a little bit audio quality, not a lot. It'll still sound great. And of course, sample rate 44. Subtitles, kept it off because it's in English. But if you guys rip it in Japanese, I recommend ripping the subtitles later on, using another software. I believe I use SubRip, but you guys could use whatever. And I leave the chapter marks on. And after all that, just click start. And once it's done, it took me about 5 minutes. And once it's done, you're going to get a file. Normally, it's going to output to wherever you set output. I have it output to my desktop, so here it is. After that, just load up your video editing software. I use Adobe Premiere Pro CC. It's what I use for my indie films, what I use for pretty much for everything. But if you guys use After Effects, you can use After Effects. If you guys use Sony Vegas, you can use Sony Vegas. A lot of fan groups use another program. I don't know the name of it, but I know a lot of them don't use Adobe. I believe they use a script called Avisif, which is very good, but I haven't learned how to work it yet. I'm going to learn how to work it, hopefully soon, if I could get the good enough time for it. But we're digressing. So right here, I created a new project. So right here we have Adobe. And we are just going to pretty much find our file, and we're going to drag it right into the sequence right here. Now, when we start playing it back in our timeline, as you could tell, it's in its full 720 by 406. Now, what we're going to do is we want it to be 1080p, or if you guys like 720, it could be 720. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go to sequence setting, and we are going to change the size to full 1080, which is 1920 by 1080, which is the HD for on widescreen. If you guys want to do 720, it'll be 1280 by 720. If your video is in 4.3 aspect ratio, I don't recommend stretching it to fit the 16 by 9. I recommend just keeping it at strictly its 4.3 aspect ratio. There's no magic way to magically make a 4.3 aspect ratio video into a 16 by 9 without cropping it and losing a lot of detail and a lot of background. So if you guys want to do this in 4.3, 1080p will be 1440 by 1080, and 720p will be, I believe, 960 by 720 off the top of my head. So that's the only thing we're going to change is just the aspect ratio. Everything else we're going to keep the same. And it's going to give us a warning saying that the aspect ratio is not the same as the video source, but that's okay. We're just going to change it. Now, once we play the video again, as you can see, it's a lot smaller. Now, what we're going to do is right here where it says motion, we're going to change it, and we're going to do it right here, which is scaling. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to scale it until it fits the whole entire screen. Now, not the whole entire screen. We're going to have some black lines, but that's fine. They're going to be very thin once we're done. But what we're really going to focus on is right here, the lower borders. Now, since we can't really see that good, we're just going to switch it to whatever big enough, and so that way we can see the edges right here, and we're just going to keep on until it's barely noticeable. Now we're just going to do it manually to 60 until we get, there you go, until we get the verticals exactly faded. Now, just to make sure we didn't go too much, just to do a quick verification. Yeah, we didn't go too much. 265 is our magic number. Now, we're not done. As you can see, we scaled it upwards, but it's getting a little bit pixelated. Now, this was the issue I was having with my Blu-ray player. It was, since it just did the scaling, it pixelated a little bit of the video. Now, how we're going to fix that is several ways. First thing we're going to do is how I like to upscale my animes, which I'm no expert, but I did do a few on the blog, is the fact that if you can see the image is very, I guess, grainy. I don't really like that. I'm, a bold color person. So I'm going to use the fast color corrector, and I'm going to fix up the color a bit. Now, you guys don't have to do this. It's just my own personal preference. But if you guys want to just fix up the color a bit, if you feel like the color is a little too grainy, a little too, horrible, here's some ways you can fix that. You can use three-way color corrector, fast color corrector. There's more. Like I said, there's no fixed way. There's no only one step. There's many different ways to change the colors. Depending on whatever software you're using, they have a lot of different plugins, filters. So, but my favorite one is Fast Color Corrector and Three-Way Color Corrector. Those are the ones I like to use the most. And right here, the color wheel, I don't recommend it. It really changes the color palette a lot. To warm, colder feel, warmer feel, and everything in between. We're just not gonna mess with that. Right here, we're gonna mess with the input levels. Now, what this does is it pretty much neutralizes the colors. It basically must makes the whites white and the blacks black. The grays, I don't really touch that. Every time I mess with the gray midtones, I kind of mess up the pictures completely. So I avoid that as much as possible. So first thing we're going to do is mess with the whites. Now, when I start to lower this, as you can see, the picture gets white. And if you put it a little too much, it gets a little too white. So I like to just lower it a little bit to get, okay, my mouse is not working. So just gonna do this manually. There you go. I like to lower it a little bit. So 230, not a lot, just a little bit to make it brighter. Now it's a little too bright. So now we're gonna work with the blacks. Now the blacks makes it darker. The black's black. So many different levels. Some people, like my friend, likes it at 8. You know, not too bright. One of my friends like it at 16 because it makes it a little darker, makes it, as what she likes to call it, pop, and it likes to bring these lines, which is the actual drawing lines, very nice and bold. Me, on the other hand, I like it just a little bit darker at 23. I don't know why I like this so much, depending on the anime. There's some animes I don't like it a lot. I'll probably leave it at 8 or 16, but 23, it gives it a nice contrast. It balances the light and the dark. So every color, it's not like blended a lot. So you can actually see the individual colors. You can see the snow, you can see the fog. That's why I like it, especially with this anime. Now, after that, there's one more thing I like to do. Once again, personal preference. You don't have to do it. I love bold colors. So I raise the saturation and I make those colors come alive. Now, once again, if you don't like the colors, you can leave it back there. But me personally, I love big bold colors. So I'm going to raise that saturation maximum. For this anime, I think it looks gorgeous. Some animes, some cartoons, not too much. It makes it a little too strong. Some people, if they want a little bit of color, 150 or 125, just to give it that little bit extra color. And of course, 100 puts back as its regular default color. But for me, I raised the color a lot to 200. I love how it looks like this. This thing looks beautiful. Everything else I pretty much just leave the same. I don't really touch it in any way. So now we're still not done. There's one more thing I like to do. As you can start to clearly see, it's a little bit pixelated. Not a lot, just a little bit pixelated because we stretched out the image. And playing this on the Blu-ray player, it's pretty much going to be pointless. I could have just popped in the regular DVD and just, scale it. We haven't really fixed that pixelated problem that I was getting. Now, the way to fix it is we're going to sharpen the image. Right here, where it says blur sharpen, we're going to sharpen the image. Now, the one thing is very important to say is you can't add pixels that weren't already there. So by stretching this out, we didn't magically add, 1920 pixels here and 1080 pixels here. We just stretched out, the image to fit the 1920 by 1080. So on the pixels that are here is still 720 by 406. We just stretched it out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the unsharp mask, and what this does is it's going to add contrast to the edges. It's gonna make these edges darker to give the illusion that the image is sharper. Now, I did a cheat sheet here. This cheat sheet honestly is for photographs, but I believe it works pretty much the same way on video. The reason why is these are the way animation works is this anime was actually hand drawn, and then later on it was animated. So this is actually, somebody actually drew this. So it's pretty much similar to a picture. Now, going by this cheat sheet that I made for myself because I have very bad memory, soft subjects are pretty much people's, flowers, toys, animals, anything that's pretty much like soft. Portraits, obviously pictures. Moderate sharpening, pretty much anything that's like external scenes, internal scenes, houses, scenery, that type of stuff. Maximum sharpening, I highly don't recommend. I only use it if a picture is like super, 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 super blurry, or if it's very sharp, it's a lot of rocks or buildings, machinery, stuff like that. But I rarely use maximum sharpening. I normally either use soft subjects or all-purpose sharpening. All-purpose sharpening is like, it sharpens the image, but not so much so that way that if you have to do it again, it doesn't ruin the image. And preparing for web, exactly what it means. It's just pretty much, when you're uploading to the web, the picture loses a lot of quality because it, shrinks the file size. That way, it fits on the website. This helps preserve the image when you're like uploading to like, Facebook and stuff like that. So we're gonna use the soft subject, and it's the amount is basically how much contrast you want. The radius, how many pixels. We're just gonna do 1 pixel, and the threshold is the intensity. Now, it may not look like much, but if I turn off there you go. Now, if I turn off the unsharp mask, you can see it's a little blurry. But once I turn it on, you can actually see it. You can actually see the little bit more detail. And that is pretty much how I upscale my anime cartoons. The last thing I do is when I export it, right here, export media, I use H.264 and I pretty much match the source with high bit rate so that way I could retain some of this quality. So that's pretty much it. One last thing I would like to show you guys is a comparison shot. This is the original DVD, and this is how it is after I did the upscaling using exactly what I showed you guys. I believe I changed the unsharp mask a bit. I think I used the maximum sharpness. I don't think I used the soft subject. But yeah, you guys clearly, it still is faithful to the source material. It's just I gave it more bolder colors, so that way it's, the colors pop and you actually can see the uniform and stuff like that. And of course, when the image is stretched out, you can start to see it gets blurry. But when I stretch this one out, you can see it doesn't get as blurry as this one, which is what I wanted. So I mean, when I play this on my Blu-ray TV, on my Blu-ray player, on my high def TV, it won't look so blurry. So there you have it, guys. I hope you liked this video. I hope you share this video. If you guys have experience with photo editing, video editing, you know, how do you think I did? Comment below. If you guys could like this video, that would be great. If you guys could share it to support the video, that would be awesome. If you guys could look at my blog, show some of my prototype upscales, that would be great too. Some are good, some are not. My earlier ones are, I guess, not as good as my later ones, but comment below that too. And as always, guys, have an awesome day.